President Biden's facing more calls from Democratic lawmakers to drop out of the presidential race as questions continue to mount over his mental fitness. 5 members of Congress have publicly called for him to step aside. 4 more senior Democratic lawmakers have said so in a private call. Biden's repeatedly vowed to stay in the race. He sat down for an interview on Friday with ABC's George Stephanopoulos, who asked if he could beat Donald Trump.
Have you convinced yourself that only you can defeat him?
I convinced myself of 2 things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done.
If you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down?
It depends if the Lord Almighty comes out and tells me that, I might do that.
That was from Biden's first televised interview since his disastrous debate with Donald Trump. Biden also spoke to 2 radio stations where he was interviewed by hosts who asked him questions that were scripted by Biden's own campaign. Biden still stumbled during the interview, saying at one point that he was proud to be, quote, the first Black woman to serve with a Black president.
Proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first Black woman to serve with a Black president.
Boeing has agreed to a plea deal with the Justice Department that'll allow it to avoid facing a criminal trial over a pair of deadly 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 19 that killed all 346 people on board. Under the deal, Boeing will plead guilty to a conspiracy fraud charge and pay $243 million in additional fines. A lawyer representing families of passengers killed in the crashes has already filed an objection to the agreement. The attorney, Paul Cassell, said, quote, through crafty lawyering between Boeing and DOJ, the deadly consequences of Boeing's crime are being hidden, unquote. NATO nations have agreed to provide Ukraine $43 billion in new military aid next year. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg confirmed the deal ahead of NATO's 3-day summit in Washington that begins Tuesday. This comes as Russia continues to attack Ukraine's energy infrastructure, leaving more than 100,000 people without power. Earlier today, Russian strikes killed 29 people, including 2 who died in an attack on a children's hospital in Kyiv. On Friday, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in a trip condemned by Ukraine and EU leaders. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is meeting with Putin today. More than 130 million people in the U.S. were under high heat alerts this weekend as a heat wave intensified in California and other areas. Temperatures could reach 128 degrees Fahrenheit in Death Valley today. Meanwhile, in Northern California, wildfires have forced around 30,000 people from their homes. Hurricane Beryl has made landfall on the Texas coast near Matagorda as a Category 1 storm. About 200,000 people in Houston have already lost power. The storm killed at least 11 people as it battered Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula and several Caribbean islands. The storm has been fueled by record temperatures in the Atlantic. A funeral was held Saturday in Utica, New York, for Nya Mue, a 13-year-old boy who was shot to death by police 2 days after he graduated from middle school. Nya Mue was a refugee born in Burma. His death has shattered the close-knit community of Karen refugees in Utica. His brother wrote online, quote, our family moved to America 9 years ago as refugees from Myanmar to find a better life safe from law enforcement killings and ethnic cleansing, unquote. 3 officers involved in the shooting have been placed on administrative leave.